to the Life and Listings podcast. I have Preston here. Hey, Preston, thanks for joining us.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. Can you introduce yourself to all of our listeners and tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. I don't have my scarf on today.
No one's going to understand that.
Yeah. So we usually in Google Meet, I always have fun with the scarves and everything else.
I almost played with that yesterday.
So I've been in real estate for 20 years. I got licensed in 2004. And, for me, like the one thing I focused on early on, because I'm in Myrtle Beach, so it was a secondary market, was there were so many people moving to our market that were from different areas. So like for me, I wanted to figure out, okay, how can I get in front of them? In 2004, there wasn't a whole lot of people building agent websites and real estate sites for that matter. And so I started building out real estate sites for myself. The first website I launched was PrestonGuyton.com. And quickly, a lot of the local companies were like, how is this guy ranking, ahead of us on companies and everything else? So, I really focused on lead gen early on, and I've continued to do that. It's how I built several different companies, through lead gen, or able to build systems and processes around that. Recruiting agents, opened a mortgage company, sold out of one real estate and construction company. So with everything I've done, I've always used lead gen in a way to build the company and build systems and processes and everything else. So that's the short answer.
This is totally why we get along, because you've just done all the things. Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now. You've got some really exciting things that just launched or in growth mode, and they offer a lot of different things to teams and brokerages.
Yeah. So, a couple of different things. One, I sold out of the real estate company I started in 2010. I sold out of that in 2020. We did real estate. We did construction, real estate sales, and home design. And when I got out of that, I launched a mortgage company to our market, never did anything with mortgage. So we started that in 2019, Revolution Mortgage. That's kind of how Easy Home Search grew, right? Like Easy Home Search, I knew I could generate leads with a home search portal. With mortgage, you can't just go out and say, hey, I'm going to, dangle a carrot. Hey, you can need to sign up and register to see what the rates are. You can get that information anytime. So we use Easy Home Search as a way to generate leads. We then partnered with real estate companies, and we use that to grow Revolution Mortgage. In 2021, we're the number one branch in the country. And then I decided I wasn't a big fan of the mortgage industry, so got out of that and started Palms Realty. The same thing there, like we used Easy Home Search in a way to recruit, because we had exclusivity in Orange, Georgetown County, because I own Easy Home Search and partner in Palms Realty. Use that in a way to grow and scale. Palms Realty is now at 110 agents. We did $275 million last year. So really what I'm doing now is like taking all these things that I've done through the years and helping teams and companies across the country. One with Digital Maverick, where we'll run the AdWords campaigns for teams to help generate leads. We recently launched the DCM program, which is a database management program, which we run inside of Follow Up Boss. Travis Halverson came on full-time in January. And so with that, we're focused on helping the teams and companies on conversion, because majority of them struggle with it, right? Mm-hmm. And so really that's what we focused on there, because when we launched, it used to be Chep Like Digital. We just rebranded to Digital Maverick. When we launched that, it was a way to generate leads for companies across the country. And I quickly realized I was talking a lot of people out of actually signing up, because I looked at their systems and the process they had in place and realized they're going to run ads for 3 months and they're going to quit, because they're not converting. They're not seeing instant gratification. They're not showing property right away from a lead that just came in yesterday. So the companies that didn't have the systems and processes in place, a lot of times I would talk them out of it. And I was like, hey, I got to fix this. So Travis and I started talking about the DCM program last year, and then we launched that in Digital Maverick in January. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's going between Digital Maverick, helping teams and companies, Easy Home Search, which we'll cover 200 MLSs by the end of the year. Right now, we send leads to companies through Follow Up Boss. We're about to add some other CRMs as well through a direct API integration, and then Reside platform as well with John, Sanit, and Nick. So those are the three things are my focus.
all the things. I mean, but they are so tied in together, and I love the fact that you're like, you want to give me your money, but I don't even want to take your money because you're not going to convert and you're not going to have an ROI on it. I mean, that's so common to see across so many different teams. Like, I need to buy leads, right? I need the incoming leads. Well, are you actually converting them into closings? So tell us a little bit about the DCM program, because that's one of my favorite products you guys have. Like, how many teams are you working with, and what are you doing there?
So we just launched that in January. I think we're at 58 or 62 teams, somewhere in that range. So what we do is we go in so Travis will set it up and Alex, and now we have a team, Alex, Travis, and Nikki, and then Emery. But what we do is we will hire, train a DCM. So somebody that goes into their database, will text and email the clients, will nurture the clients, and all the incoming leads. Some people do it on past clients. A majority of them at all, not necessarily past clients, but like leads that are kind of gone dormant, sitting in their CRM. Nobody's calling them. And we'll go in and message them and then bring them back up. And then every day at the end of the day, they'll get a end of day report, which I don't know if you've seen that or not, but it has how many leads, how many messages were sent out, how many conversations were had, how many leads were moved from the main database to nurture, meaning they're buying beyond 90 days, and then how many have moved to DCM appointments, which are buying within 90 days. And those DCM appointments are usually handed off to agents within the team. So yeah, we've been running that. And I think we looked at the numbers, Travis and I, before we spoke in Nashville, and the team had sent 1 or 3.3 million text messages and the same amount of emails. So that's where we're going in the team's account and doing all those things for them. And it's only getting better. Like, we just brought Nikki on. Now she's going to audit the teams once a month, their accounts, and she actually listens to calls and then sends the CEO a message saying, hey, your agents need to do this. This was a DCM appointment. And she usually picks out 3, I think is what her audits are, to really show like, hey, you're doing a good job or you're not doing a good job here. Here's are the things you could correct. And like Nikki set, I think she shared with me, she set 692 appointments last year as an ISA. And she just came on first of this month. So, one of the things I think about too when I talk about that is like, what's your superpower? For me, it's like finding the right people, selling them on the vision and bringing them as part of my team, because there's a lot of things that I can't do. And I think that's where a lot of people fail, is they try to do everything, but you really, not only hiring the right people, like, I don't necessarily go hire people that I have to train. Like, I hire people that are really good and I sell them on the idea and the vision, so when you're an owner of a company or whatever you're doing, you always have to sell, because you have to sell the people that you want to join your team and what your vision is, and bring them as a part of that vision, and that becomes part of their dream. So I do lead gen, but also am really good at selling people on the vision and what we're trying to build. So I've always been able to bring on really good people and surround myself with really good people. And that's why the companies have been successful.
And for those that are listening, Stats is working with a couple of Preston's companies too. And it's been really amazing to see the people he's put together and how sharp they are and how smart they are. But not only just how smart they are, but how friendly everybody is. Like, they're so passionate about it and helpful, and you come in kind of blind meeting all these different people, and you think that maybe someone's going to be a little mean or someone's not going to be very helpful, and everyone's just like so warm. I'm like,
yeah,
who are all these people? It's just like,
then I show up on my first call with a scarf and a winter hat on.
I mean, there's that too. So that was pretty funny. I'm like, what in the world am I getting myself into? I mean, let's talk about Easy Home Search a little bit, because that's really just kind of spreading across the country as we speak. What's differentiating Easy Home Search to some of the other lead platforms out there?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I tell people, for me, it's something away. It's not something I had to do. I enjoy it, so it's not like, hey, it's me chasing money. It's really something I'm passionate about. And the passion is with the real estate industry. Like, it's given my family so much, provided my family so much. If you look at it from the standpoint of news and everything else, real estate industry is always being attacked, whether it's in headlines, whether it's all of a sudden a lead platform is charging you 35% or 40% referral fee. We're already running on, name a business to where the gross revenue is 6% of sales, or really 3% of sales or less, actually profitable. So when you look at that standpoint, and you're maybe getting 3% if you're lucky, and then you got to give away 40% of that 3%, and then you got to pay your agents and you got to pay your bills and everything else, it's kind of hard to survive. So for me, when I look at Easy Home Search, the reason I'm doing it is because I really want to get back to the real estate community. I really want to see the real estate industry continue the way it is and not have some exorbitant expense as far as per lead fee or a referral fee.
Yeah.
So that's really like the reason behind it. But as far as like scaling it, we're, right now we're going across the country. We're communicating with data companies right now to where we're actually going to accelerate that with the potential to be in up to 220 MLSs by the end of the year, which is a lot further than what I wanted. Like the original goal was 120. And I'm like, hey, then the more I dig in and see the things we can do based on 220 MLSs, that gives us about a 94% of all listings across the United States. So that gives us 90, because there's a lot more MLSs, but there's a lot of teeny MLSs, right? Like
yeah.
A lot of small ones, a lot of the bigger ones overlap the small ones. There's a lot of small ones that might have 30 listings in it. They're just holding up, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of what we're focused on as far as like as the growth. And then the differentiator, we're really focused on what the message is to the consumer after we deliver the lead to a partner. Like we do county exclusivity, where to me, there's so much benefits when you do county exclusivity. I saw what we did at Palms. I've seen what I've done in other companies that I've been a part of, is you're able to do things from a systems and processes standpoint. You're able to do things from a recruiting standpoint when you can sell, hey, I have exclusivity, because pretty much if you have a whole county, you have the whole market, right? I mean, counties on the West Coast are massive, so I got to figure that out.
Yeah.
But, counties, if you look at a United States map, like the East Coast, from the middle of the country east, the counties are a lot smaller. So, county exclusivity makes a lot of sense on the East Coast. It doesn't on the West Coast as much, but we're still selling county exclusivity there as well.
Yeah. You start like looking. I never realized that until we started working together, and you like look at the map and you're like, what is up with that? Like these are really tiny, and then you spread out and you go have all of Arizona all of a sudden in one county.
Yeah. I think Arizona is 6 counties, 8 counties, something like that. It's just, it's nuts. Yeah. I mean, they explored west and said, hey, let's make the land a lot bigger, the area a lot bigger. So.
Yeah. Well, we've got a lot of team leads or broker owners or even just agents that listen to the podcast. Like, what kind of tip can you give them to like improve their conversion?
Really follow a system. The biggest problem, and I talk about this a lot, is complexity in systems, right? A lot of people come up with these, I want to do this thing and this thing and this automation and this thing and this thing and this AI, and I want to do this. Just pick something, make it simple. What's simple you could follow on a daily basis. And some of the team leaders that I talk to that have the most success, they'll do like, they'll focus maybe on 20 clients at a time or whatever that number is. And they'll do the same things every single day. And a lot of times it's very simple. And I tell people, create a system, create a daily schedule that you could follow. Like, I feel like I'm win every day. I feel like it's Groundhog's Day because I do the exact same thing every day. This morning I woke up super early. I usually don't wake up as early as I did, but I woke up and I couldn't sleep. So I got up at 3 o'clock. I worked for 2 hours. I worked out, but it's the same thing every day. I'm usually up at 4, right? 4, I work out, I make coffee, or I make coffee first, then I work, and then I work out. I get my kids up, help get them ready for school, take them to school, go to the office, and then work in the office. And that could be prospecting or whatever. And I think a lot of people try to build a schedule based on somebody else's schedule.
Yep.
Build a schedule based on your own schedule. Whatever that schedule is, just stick to it. That's all you need is just do those things. And even when you look into your CRM, don't have 50 stages, keep it simple. And the more simple you could keep it, the more chance you'll have success. And when you get into complexity, no agents are going to follow it. And if you're an agent and you build complexity in your own schedule, in your own CRM, you're not going to follow it either.
No, there's so many times that I look at people's calendar and I'm like, there's no way you're following this time blocking. Are you? They're like, no, it says I work out every morning for 2 hours, but I haven't worked out in like 6 months. Like, then take it off your calendar. Like, you're not going to follow anything if the very first thing you see on your calendar every day is something that you're lying to yourself about.
Yeah.
So,
and it's funny. Mine at 5 a.m. has coffee, actually 4 a.m. coffee and working out. It's been there for like 4 years, but I do it. right?
Yeah.
The biggest thing people do is they lie to themselves about what they do and what they're going to do and everything else. I mean, just be honest with yourself and pick a schedule and stick to a schedule and keep it simple. And that's really it. I mean, it's not, success isn't hard. It's just keeping consistent, that people fail. Everything's out there. The blueprint's out there. It's been shared over and over again. It's just the majority of people won't follow it.
No. And I think you touched on it, right? They're overcomplicating whatever they're building. And then they just either start getting busy and don't continuously follow it. So you see a lot of like ups and downs, or just don't do it, period.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then they chase shiny objects too. That's another thing. And one thing when you're building a company or a team or whatever it is, don't get away from the things you're good at. I see everybody wanting to replace what they're doing with somebody else. There's always going to be things that don't make sense for you to replace. Like I probably do way too much stuff I should probably hand off, but there's things that I'll never give up. It's it's what I've focused on for the past 20 years. Like I enjoy SEO, I enjoy writing, I enjoy content, I enjoy marketing. Those are things I'll never get away from. So, really pick the things that you're good at and just don't think you're going to replace yourself with somebody with yourself and things you're good at. Because then all of a sudden, what are you doing? What's left for you to do?
I feel like that's a pretty common thing. Like people like, oh, I'm getting kind of busy. I'm just going to delegate everything that I do to an assistant. I'm like, well, first off, they didn't want to be a business owner. So they don't want to do everything you do. And there's a reason why you're successful, right? So you want to make sure that you're kind of holding on to that a little bit, so you're not just delegating everything out and then you lose your growth. Yeah,
so. I mean, that's why most people won't run a business, because they don't. It's a disaster. For everybody. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a disaster. It's like disaster all the time. I mean, it's a good disaster. There's things you could do to make it better, but there's no perfect business out there. That every business is going to have challenges, and every team's going to have challenges. So to think that listening to somebody on social media saying how great it is, they're lying to you if they're sharing how great it is all the time, because for every business, there's going to be challenges, and just understand that.
I mean, I'm fairly certain I texted you like 2 weeks ago and I said, I think we're just both psychos. Like we must just both be a little bit psychotic based on the fact of how much different things we've got going on.
Yeah.
Just likely.
Yeah. It's fun though.
So, I mean, the last question was, I was going to ask you what your superpower is, and you kind of touched on that a little bit. So one of your superpowers you said was just building a really strong team. Do you feel like you have, share another superpower? We know you have probably 15 different ones.
I mean, for me, it's at the lead gen side and understanding conversion and understanding, that's what I've been doing for 20 years, right? So it's really looking at, and not only understanding lead gen, but understanding how the systems and how could you use that and leverage in your business to grow your business to where you want it to go. And that's, for me, that's my mainstay. Like the past 20 years, if you looked at anything I've done within any business, I've always been focused on lead gen, whether it was organic, because organic was a lot easier 20 years ago. And then it grew into pay-per-click and AdWords as that became more prominent. And, a lot of the organic traffic was taken by companies you can't compete with, but we're focused on changing that. But really, for me, it's lead gen and doing all the things that we need to do to build the companies and everything I'm a part of.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing with us today, and thanks for being on the podcast. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, where should they go to find some information on everything you've got going on?
Yeah, I mean, really, Instagram, Facebook is Preston Guyton, both. There's a link tree. I don't even know the link to actually Linktree. Is a Linktree Preston?
Oh, yeah, I think it's probably Preston Guyton, like Linktree /, but I'll drop it in the show notes too.
Yeah, but it's, on Instagram and Facebook, active on both of those often. Find me there. Reach out, ask a question. I might hop on a Zoom with a scarf.
Well, only Google Meet, right? Because we haven't found that functionality in Zoom yet.
If it's Zoom, I'm not hopping on with a scarf.
Well, thanks, Preston. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.
Thank you.